I just kind of froze for a second.
A familiar face tied to a tragedy. Plastered on his screen was Adam Mattos, the 28-year-old man John Hill just hired 2 weeks ago to work as a dishwasher in his restaurant, Get Hooked Grill.
Look clean cut. We were looking for a dishwasher, so we threw him in a dish pit.
And tonight he couldn't believe his eyes. That same man is now a person of interest in the case of a missing 4-year-old autistic boy and the murders of 4 people.
I don't know what to say, what you say about that, and I hope the young man's fine. I truly hope maybe Adam had nothing to do with this.
According to the Pasco Sheriff's Office, they've been looking for Matos since they were called out to a home in Hudson for a domestic incident involving him on August 28th. Which is just one day after Hill said he got a strange phone call from Mattos saying he wouldn't be in that day due to a family emergency. But so far, we know Mattos moved down here in July from Orfield, Pennsylvania, where he had several run-ins with the law. Harassment, theft, and assault charges all show up on his record and all come as a complete shock to those he worked alongside, like the grill's cook, Jacob Torres, who was the last one at the restaurant to talk to Mattos, and he says he doesn't recall him acting unusual.
He was like a quiet guy, really quiet guy. I'm really surprised about this. I'm really surprised.
Frantic search for Matos coming to a dramatic end as authorities swarmed a hotel in downtown Tampa trying to take him down. Carson Chambers, continue our team coverage now with the tense moments of how this all happened. Carson.
Well, Linda, we know that he walked right in through the doors here at the Florida Inn Hotel with his 4-year-old son. He checked in under his own name, paid cash, asked for a room with twin beds, and then went up to the top floor here, number 1803. He made a few calls down to the front desk asking about checkout time and also about Wi-Fi access, and that is when police put their plan into action.
I love my son, and I hope that he's safe right now.
Adam Matos now in custody, but a fugitive for days, was clear about the reason he took his son.
He's my son.
But claims he doesn't know who killed 4 people near this Hudson home.
You didn't kill them?
No.
Who did?
I don't know.
Now, how he checked into a hotel room at downtown Tampa's Florida Inn Hotel with his son, 4-year-old Tristan Santisteban, is becoming more clear.
And the little boy with him, he looked tired and wore out. It looked like he was falling asleep just walking. And he kind of tucked them underneath his hip so we wouldn't see a good picture of him.
Folks waiting at a nearby Greyhound bus station spotted the pair.
He apparently had walked by the Greyhound bus station and was trying to ask about when the next bus was coming, and then had asked about hotels.
Investigators say Matos asked about bus tickets to the Florida Keys but never bought them. Then stopped another stranger who spoke with us off camera.
The kid was wonderful. He was just tired. He was totally fatigued. You know what I mean? He was just got him, had him by his hand.
The stranger walked him to the Florida Inn, where Matos checked in under his real name. Tampa police say they got wind of his whereabouts thanks to alert tipsters.
We just had to ensure that that child was safe. So we had several plans of action. First and foremost, we were going to try to do it very, very safely through a ruse to try to lure him out away from that child, and that worked. If that hadn't worked, dynamic entry was the next option.
Tristan, who's autistic, is now with Child Protective Services.
And we're just glad the little boy is safe.
Tampa's police chief also says they had a search warrant for this hotel room. They do not know if there was a weapon in that room. It's not confirmed yet.
Right now, detectives scouring for clues at this very hour into the murders of 4 people. The scene still very active, nearly 36 hours since deputies made the gruesome discovery. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jameson Euler.
And I'm Wendy Ryan. Thanks for joining us tonight. The next few hours are so crucial to piecing together the murder of those 4 people and their primary suspect disappearing with a 4-year-old autistic boy who is now safe and sound tonight.
Let's get right out to our Andrew Dowd live in Hudson with what's happening right now. Andrew?
Right now, that investigation that the sheriff's office calls slow and methodical continues tonight just down the street from where we're standing, while the man they suspect murdered 4 people sits in a Hillsborough County jail. Tonight, flashing lights and crime scene tapes still disturb this otherwise quiet Hudson street. more than 24 hours after 4 people were found murdered. It took the help of 2 departments to bring in the man they believe is responsible. But perhaps one of the most important tips came from a cab driver who thought he was just picking up another fare.
He was quiet, kept to himself.
Salvatore Pizzo spent an hour in a cab with the man police now believe murdered 4 people. Late Thursday night, Pizzo was sent to an address on Bertram Drive. He picked up 2 people, Adam Matos and 4-year-old Ismael Tristan Santisteban.
We got in the car, he got in the cab. He goes, where you going? He goes, well, I'm going to Tampa. Greyhound.
Pizzo said Matos paid the $105 fare in cash. They made one stop at this convenience store because he said Santisteban wanted a drink.
And he gets like a few cans of drinks, chocolate milk for his kid, and some chips for his son to eat.
It wasn't until after Pizzo dropped the pair off, he got a call from his boss asking if he picked up someone with a 4 or 5-year-old boy. Deputies were quickly sent to talk to Pizzo, trying to confirm he dropped off the man they were looking for.
He shows me the pictures. He goes, is this the guy you picked up? I said, yeah, that's the guy I picked up. You know, you couldn't miss him.
When he finally made it back to Pasco County, the reality of what just happened set in.
Wow, really? I didn't know nothing about what's going on.
Matos is scheduled to make his first court appearance in a Hillsborough County courtroom tomorrow morning. He'll then be transported back here to Pasco County.
Sheriff, if you can give us an update.
I can tell you to our citizens out there, thank you for your thoughts and prayers. Thank God Tristan is okay. Due to a team effort with law enforcement agencies throughout the Tampa Bay region, federally, locally, and throughout our country, you know, we found this little boy. He is alive, he is well, and he's in the city of Tampa right now, and the good thing is he's in the care of the sheriff's office, the police department. He will be taken care of. As for the case of Adam Mattos, he is where he should be in handcuffs right now. He has been arrested on ag assault charges from the domestic incident that occurred here on August 28th. The other things we can tell you right now is he is our suspect for the homicide of the 4 individuals. Unfortunately, we cannot still give out their names. They're still confirming. It was a horrific scene that we had out there, and you know, we're 99% sure we know who they are. However, we have to make sure through test DNA that we have those individuals, and we will release those names when we can. Again, you know, I want to thank FDLE, the FBI, Tampa PD, FWC, numerous law enforcement agencies that helped the Pasco Sheriff's Office's investigation. It ended in the Floridian Hotel down in Tampa. Tampa PD, the Pasco Sheriff's Office detectives, our SWAT team, along with their SWAT team, were able to arrest the individual, take the young boy in custody, and I can tell you it's been an absolutely, you know, long night for our people. They worked extremely hard. I can't thank all the law enforcement officers for their diligence. I mean, this is a 4-year-old little boy. This could have been one of our children. We take it that personally. That was our biggest concern. As I told you before, we had 2 investigations going on. One was the missing child for little Tristan. The other one is the homicide investigation. Thank God the case with Tristan is going to be okay. He's fine. Now we're working on the homicide investigation. We have our suspect in custody. We're going to move forward collecting information. We're going to be out here all day today, and we're going to be working that case to make sure that justice is served for those individuals that lost their lives and for their family members.
Sheriff, how were they found, and did Matos put up any fight?
No, from my understanding, with our SWAT team members, he did not put up a fight. He was caught by surprise. I don't want to get into those tools that we used to get him. However, he did not put up a fight. He was taken by surprise, and we're releasing a photo right now of a Pasco Sheriff's Office SWAT team member putting him in custody.
Sheriff, we understand that Tristan is okay physically, but how's he doing emotionally, and where is he right now?
Yeah, you know, I can't speak for his well-being. As everybody knows, he's a special needs child. He has certain concerns that, you know, we want to check into. We're working right now with the Hillsborough Child Protective Investigation Unit. Our unit's going to be working with them. We know there are family members coming to Pasco County, so we're going to coordinate. But the first thing we want to do is make sure his well-being, his health, both physically and mentally. The other side of it is before custody is handed over to any family member, we're going to make sure that family member has the ability to take care of him.
What do you need to finish doing here at this scene?
We have a lot of processing that goes on. There's the 2 scenes, as you know. We have the one where the bodies were located, which is about a half-mile south of the Sunwest Mines. We have this other location, which is the house. So we have, you know, grid search. We're going to be looking for anything out there, any evidence, because we want to make sure that, you know, the suspect that we have in custody, if this turns out to be the person that we are looking for, that is guilty of these crimes, is brought to justice.
Sheriff, there were some indications around 2 this morning that a suspect may be located downtown Tampa at a hotel. We're going on 4 hours after that. Difficult operation to make sure this boy was safe. How much thought was put into both rescuing this child and bringing your guy into custody?
Yeah, it was confirmation that the child was there. We had to make sure we had the right room, everything is because you don't want to do, we want to be methodical in what we do. However, we have a young child whose life was at risk. I can tell you we've been on the phone all night long, working with TPD, FDLE, with all the agencies. But I can tell you from the Pasco Sheriff's Office standpoint, there was no hesitation that we were going to have to use whatever necessary to get that little boy out. And we're very thankful that Tampa PD worked with us in a good partnership.
Did Mattos have any weapons on him?
I don't know at this time. All I know is that he came out of the room and we took him by surprise.
Do you have any indication at this point of where he was planning to go?
We're working into that right now, and once we get confirmation, we'll be able to provide that. A lot of things right now is still speculation. We do know he was trying to leave the Tampa Bay region. So once I get confirmation and we can confirm where he was headed and why he was headed there, we'll be able to share that with you.
Do you know if this boy was with him at the time of the arrest, or was the boy at a safe distance away from that?
No, the boy was in very close proximity. And the reason why we believe he had gone to Tampa was because there's a lot of means of transportation out of the city of Tampa.
Was that based on tips, anonymous tips that helped focus you guys into the area?
I'll tell you, we got it from everywhere. Not only through investigative means, but through tips locally, through people in the community, nationally. We were getting calls, as I said, from California, Pennsylvania, people providing us, where he may be heading to. So that was critical. The hardest part of our investigation, as we were going through the night, was trying to figure out why he had separated from his son. The whole thing, as we talked about last night, was that we had neighbors here stating that previous night he had been out to dinner with him by themselves. During our investigation, we were wondering, did he buy food for the child to bring it back to a room? And there was no signs that he had brought food back to that child. So we had grave concerns at that point, wondering, was Tristan okay? Was he safe? However, once we got confirmation that they were heading down, they were into Floridian, then we, with a huge sigh of relief, then it staged up to next year how we're going to rescue that little boy out of that room.
Are we confirming that it's the biological father?
We're not sure. If I use the term father, as I keep going back, some of the family members say he was biological, some of the family just say he was a fatherly figure. So right now it's a general term of father.
You lived in the house with his girlfriend, her mom and dad, is that correct? And if so, can you talk about the 4 bodies that were discovered? What's the connection there?
I can't talk about the connection because that goes back to, we have to confirm who was living there. I know a lot of people out there can speculate. We're 99% sure. However, that 1%, we can't release that information until we're 100%.
So you don't know, you can't release the information in terms of if it's in fact his girlfriend and her family?
Yeah, we're not going to release that until we're 100%.
All right, thank you.
Considering the violence that happened here, it really sounds like the best possible outcome.
As I keep going back to, I thank God for, making this a very safe outcome, for all the prayers that came down, because this could have been a very bad situation. We are, through our investigation, we understand that he may have been involved in drug use. Those type of things make you lead to believe that he's under this much pressure. He starts using drugs, somebody's on drugs, you don't know how they're going to react. That's why, you go back to the question of, it took a little bit of time. That's because we were ramping up. We knew this was going to be a SWAT situation, a tactical situation, because we don't know what he may have done in that room when we made entry, but we know, this person was extremely dangerous.
You mentioned that you're waiting for some confirmation as far as some DNA testing. Would that indicate the bodies were just decomposing, or did they suffer bad trauma?
It's decomposition it was very serious in this situation. That's why I can tell you, it's hard for us to confirm. We are still going through some testing. We want to make sure, but just taking a visual photo wasn't 100%. So that's why we want to go back and check to make sure that we are 100%. We won't say at this time until we get the timeline down.
And can you tell us the
No, not at this time. We'll get that information as soon as we can. The investigation. There's many things that we can't put out this time because the only people that know them are the Pasco Sheriff's Office and the suspect who committed this homicide. So until we tie those two together and we can bring that person to justice, then we'll be able to release that information.
Has Mattos
All I know is that he has handcuffs on him. I'm not sure of any statements he may have made at this time.
Sheriff, nice job.
Thank you very much. I give, again, kudos to our community for the tips. I also, thank you so much to our deputies, to the law enforcement community. You talk about everybody rallying together. It's absolutely true. And you know what? To our media, for getting this out there, if it wasn't for you all getting this message out there, we would not be as successful as we are today.
Sheriff, just one last question. You probably have detectives that are going to be at some point in the very near future questioning Matos in Tampa before he's brought back here to Pasco to face charges?
They're down there right now. They've been there.
And at some point, will he be extradited here to Pasco County?
Yes, we have to go through the process, but the good thing right now is time is on our side because we have him in custody. The best thing is we have Tristan. He's safe. And now we're just going to do a thorough investigation and make sure we do it properly because we want to make sure justice is served. There's 4 individuals whose families are suffering right now because of their loss. We want to make sure that justice is served for them and for the 4 souls that are in heaven right now.
Can you tell us physically where the suspect and the boy are right now?
They're in Tampa. Yeah, separately. They're not together anymore. Same room.
Same room. Okay,
They were together. All right, everybody. Again, thank you all very much. If you hadn't gotten the word out there, we wouldn't have been as successful as we are. Thank you.
I mean, can you tell me anything about the domestic violence? Because she said that you put a knife at her, backed her into the corner of the room. I mean, what's your side of that?
That's not what happened.
What happened?
We just had a disagreement about something, and pretty much told me to leave, and I left.
What were you guys disagreeing about?
I can't remember, but something, something dumb, probably.
And that was the last time you saw her?
Yeah, that was the last time I talked to her. I was shocked to see the SWAT team there. I couldn't believe the SWAT team was there.
At that point, you didn't know that everybody had been killed up in Hudson?
No, I didn't know.
Did they tell you?
Yeah, they told me. They told me later that day.
And what did they tell you, and how did they tell you?
They were just telling me that, all this stuff happened, and I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to react to this, This is all new.
When you were with your son and you were away from the mom, I mean, weren't you concerned about whether she was going to be concerned where he was, or I mean, how did that shake out?
I don't know. Just can't remember.
Do you remember the last time your son saw his mom?
Can't remember. Maybe August 28th.
Had you or your girlfriend encountered anyone that you might consider to be a threat to your family out there?
There was a woman that kept calling and showing up around the house. I don't know what her name is or who she is, but there was like threats being made from this lady, and like letters being sent like back and forth. I guess she left letters or something like that at Megan's job, and I guess the lady called her job accusing her of different things like taking drugs and stuff like that. So I don't know who this lady is or what her intentions are, but I know she was pretty much stalking Megan.
Do you consider yourself a violent guy? I mean, are you the type of person that could be capable of hurting someone like that?
No. Well, I'm a nice guy. You know, anybody that knows me, I'm easily to get along with. I don't start fights, you know. I'm pretty much, you know, cool person to get along with. And everybody's looking at me like, you know, I did it, you know. There's nothing I can say to change anybody's mind. You know, I could say I'm innocent, and I could say I didn't do it, but, or is anybody really going to believe me? You know, all the fingers point to me, so there's nothing I can really say or do to try to change anybody's beliefs.
Good afternoon. We want to give you some information to the Mattos case. As you know, he's been charged with 4 degrees of first-degree murder. We've been working with the state attorney's office in this case side by side, because the biggest thing right now is that we provide justice for the families of the victims. You know, as you know, there's been 2 separate cases that we had worked: the Amber Alert looking for little Tristan, and then the homicide investigation. We are very blessed that Tristan is safe and sound. I can tell you that he is with family out of state. And our sheriff's office is still talking to them to make sure he's okay. Our victim advocates have been working with the family members on this case. In regards to the homicide, you know, we've sat with the family members of Nick Leonard. We've been correspondents with the other family members, and you know, it is a tragic situation for them. And the one thing we promised them is that we're going to do everything possible to bring justice for them, because the victims of cases are always usually the ones that are forgotten, the family members. And we want to make sure that there is justice brought for them. You know, our forensics unit was out there for 5 days. Day in and day out, I give our forensic investigators, incredible kudos for what they did, persevering through the severe heat, the weather, the rain. They did an outstanding job, because like these detectives, like their unit, we have one goal right now, and that is to make sure that Adam Mattos is brought to justice, and that the justice he gets is what he will deserve. You know, there's a lot of things today in this case we can't talk about because it still is an ongoing investigation. There's a lot of follow-ups. There's a lot of things going on. The one thing I want to make sure, because I know there's rumors out there about other suspects, there's only one suspect in this homicide investigation. That's Adam Mattos. So I want to make sure that everybody's aware. We have the person we are looking for. There's nothing in our investigation that leads us to any other names. In regards to this case, as I said, there's a lot of things out there. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of information. There's a lot of things that we cannot share, but we have our detectives here. This is really for you to ask us questions, and we'll be more than happy to answer them.
Sheriff, I have a question about looking at the report, it seems that no further action will be taken pending talking to Matos. And what actions did the sheriff's office take after that incident to make contact with him? Did they stop by the house? Did they alert other deputies? We're looking for this guy. Just trying to figure out what actions were taken after that, because he was obviously at this house, you know, for quite some time, ordering pizza and selling pets, according to the arrest affidavit.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the things that's been coming up. The question is, what happens in these cases? This is a domestic incident. The sheriff's office got called out there around 6 o'clock in the morning. We had numerous people in that squad respond. There was people searching that area. We went out there. We spoke to the victim at the time. She relayed to us what had occurred. You know, for our deputy on scene, let me tell you, he was trying to do the right thing. He wanted to do a full investigation. The suspect was not there. He wanted to get all the information. The suspect had left. That's why he had people out there circulating the area. At the time, at the house was Megan's father, Gregory, and her mother, Margaret. They were there. The deputy asked her, you know, do you want to go to a shelter? Can I give you information for a shelter? You know, she declined. You know, I can tell you that he gave her a victim booklet, which has the information about shelters. He gave her the case number, a business card, and his own personal information. Around 9:15 that morning, we got another call from Nick Leonard. Our deputy responded to the scene. Nick Leonard had thought that the domestic incident that occurred at 6 o'clock had just happened around 9 o'clock when he was informed from his girlfriend. Our deputy went back out to the scene. He talked to her. They had a conversation. She correlated, no, the incident that occurred at 6 o'clock is not the one that Nick is, you know, at 9 o'clock. That never happened. Nick had his information mixed up. Nick thought that, you know, the incident was ongoing, which it wasn't. It happened several hours ago. You know, throughout the day, I know, you know, from the investigation and from what you're gathering also, is that there was numerous calls from the suspect to Megan and to Margaret. And so there was a lot of correspondence. Let me tell you, the sheriff's office, we did not get any response back. You know, at that time, you know, if somebody's getting that many calls, if they feel threatened, we as a sheriff's office want people to contact us. If we had been contacted and we knew there was that type of level of people reaching out, you know, 200 times, that's what we were told, and that's what we're still investigating, yes, we would have sent somebody immediately back into the house working with her to try to find out what is going on. But from the sheriff's office perspective, we had no relationship back that Adam was going back towards the house. There was another thing, too, is at 3 o'clock that afternoon, Megan had reached out to her boss, and her boss had offered shelter to say, look, why don't you stay with me? She declined. You know, so from a sheriff's office perspective, we were out there looking. He had related to his squad was on scene. They knew we were looking. The reason why the deputy had kept this case open, his case wasn't closed. He kept it open. He actually wanted to go speak to the suspect. He wanted to try to work this case himself. So, you know, I give, you know, that deputy, you know, he wanted to do the right thing. This is law enforcement. You know, we live in a world of gray. You know, right, wrong, indifferent. As long as our deputies are doing what is right, I'm going to protect them and back them to the bitter end. This deputy tried to do the right thing. It's an unfortunate incident, but let us never forget, the person who killed 4 people is Adam Mattos. If that's forgotten, you know, then I think that is a sad fact. But I can tell you, we as a sheriff's office, I'm proud of our deputy who was out there. He worked hard. He tried to do the right thing. And you know what? And for the victim of this case, it's a horrific ending. And blame will never, ever go to a victim. We just want every woman out there to know that if you're in a very dangerous situation, please keep calling the sheriff's office. If somebody is harassing you or stalking you, call us immediately. We have a very good proven record of defending women against men out there.
Sheriff, I don't know if you can address this, Sheriff.
Which one?
I don't know if you can address this or if the detectives, but can you talk about the murders? 2 beaten, 2 shot. What order did this all happen? I mean, was he going from room to room? What was the scenario here?
Hi, everybody. First of all, my name is Detective Chet Kogel, Cougill. I'm the lead investigator, along with Detective Sean Kennedy. As far as the actual circumstances that took place at the residence, that part is still undergoing. We have to do physical evidence check with FDLE to try to determine who was where. We have evidence from the scene. Everything is ongoing, and we just can't tell you what order they were killed, what kind of instruments were used. We just don't have that information right now. It's all being tested.
Murder weapon yet?
We have an idea, but I don't want to give you guys something that might be something different. So all I can tell you, everything's being tested.
Was Matos licensed to carry a firearm?
I don't know that, man.
for Matos issued for the aggravated assault, was that issued for him after the bodies were found or prior to the bodies being found after that initial incident?
Why did it take so long to get charges brought on these 4 homicides?
We wanted to make sure we had all the right information. It took a little while to gather information at the scene. It was a methodical search at the house, methodical search at the scene where the bodies were found. Once we gathered, we had to go out and locate garbage men, pizza delivery people. I mean, it took a little while with all of our resources to go out and locate everybody, so it just took a little while. Accurate information is what we were looking for before we made the arrest.
See, it sounds like Mattos was able to get away from the scene. When you took the cab, it was only a few blocks from where you guys were. So is there any idea how he, I guess, so easily left without anybody noticing when there was already an Amber Alert?
Right now, we only have a theory about that. We've been out canvassing the neighborhood. We got to continue to go out and speak to people that just aren't home. We have some houses with cameras. We're still trying to locate if anybody has any video footage of it. We just don't know that kind of information right now. Sorry.
Startling new details tonight in a quadruple murder case in Pasco County. Adam Matos was arrested in September for allegedly killing his ex-girlfriend, her parents, and her new boyfriend. Investigative reporter Adam Walser is here with the very latest on this case. Adam?
Well, Wendy, more than 600 pages of court documents were just released, revealing even more about the gruesome murders of 4 Hudson residents and what Matos is accused of doing in the days that followed. Investigators say he used this knife when he assaulted his ex-girlfriend. 6 days later, her body was found beside the decomposing bodies of her parents and her new boyfriend in a field near their home. Documents say one victim had been hit in the head with a hammer 21 times. Another had a garbage bag duct taped around her head and zip ties binding her hands. Deputies say Matos used ropes or cords tied around their torsos to drag their bodies to the field. Another picture shows Matos cashing his paycheck after the murders. Other images allegedly show him using his victims' debit cards to buy beer, cigarettes, and a shovel used to partially bury them. Matos was captured by Tampa police at a Tampa hotel in early September after police say he planned to flee on a Greyhound bus with his 4-year-old autistic son.
New tonight, for the first time, we're hearing from 2 men who came face to face with an accused murderer who investigators say killed 4 people. Our Edward Lawrence got his hands on new documents revealing disturbing new details in the case and the Craigslist connection. He's in Hudson tonight with this exclusive story.
ABC Action News obtained the 600-page investigation report into the quadruple murder at this house. There's a lot of detail in these pages, including 2 men who answered a Craigslist ad by Adam Matos.
I'm like, are you serious?
James Smith came face to face with Adam Matos after Megan Brown, her parents, and her new boyfriend disappeared, but before Matos was arrested for their murders. Smith saw an ad on Craigslist placed by Matos for a 52-inch TV for $100. He and Brandon Derry went to look at it.
Seemed like he could be in a hurry. I mean, he was just moving like he was ready to move that TV. He was ready to get rid of it.
About 2 p.m. on Friday, August 29th, Smith climbed the stairs to the front door of Brown's house. Matos answered, but would not let them in.
When someone tells me and I'm coming to your house to buy something that you're trying to sell, and I can't come in and look at a television working, what's the reason why I can't come in?
He was kind of sketchy when we went there. He didn't want nobody coming in. Like, we knocked on the door and he was like, can I just carry it out to you guys?
Both men say he seemed desperate to make the deal and get the cash. Feeling that something was off, they left without the TV. After seeing the house on ABC Action News when the murders were discovered, Smith called investigators to report what happened.
I could have been the next in line.
These documents also say that Adam Matos sold the family's dogs on Craigslist. He was arrested September 5th. His 4-year-old autistic son was found safe.
An eye for an eye. The man charged with killing 4 people in Hudson finds out he will face the death penalty. Adam Matos is accused of taking the lives of his ex-girlfriend, her parents, and her new boyfriend. Our Eric Waxler is live with a look at what went on inside that courtroom today. Eric?
Yeah, Jamison, Matos brought from jail here to the courthouse for a very brief arraignment. And this morning we did find out that he will face the death penalty for those 4 murders that rocked the community. We also found out that he is going to plead not guilty. Tonight we are getting a look at what may have been the last picture ever taken of Megan Brown alive. This photo, part of the evidence the state will use against the accused killer, her ex-boyfriend Adam Mattos. Investigators also got shots of a knife they say Mattos used to threaten Brown on August 28th and a cut on her hand she allegedly got trying to protect herself. Deputies were searching for Mattos, but he wasn't found until after they say he came back and committed the murders. Brown was found shot to death September 4th. Her parents, Gregory and Margaret, were also murdered, as was Nicholas Leonard, who had recently started dating Brown. We also have the newly released court document the state attorney's office filed showing they will seek the death penalty against Mattos. This morning, Mattos spent less than 2 minutes in a Pasco County courtroom in front of Judge William Webb. In that time, he answered 3 questions with 4 words.
Mr. Matos, you swear affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Would you state your name?
Adam Matos.
You confirm the waiver of speedy trial?
Yes.
We've heard from Mattos before. Right after his arrest, he talked about the autistic son he fled with after the murders, leading to the manhunt that ended in a Tampa hotel room.
I love my son, and I hope that he's safe right now.
And we also heard him say he was innocent in a jailhouse interview with the Tampa Bay Times.
I could say I'm innocent, and I could say I didn't do it, but is anybody really going to believe me?
A search warrant in this case shows a long list of evidence the prosecution says Mattos used to commit and then cover up these murders, including several guns and other weapons. Mattos will be back here in court for another pretrial hearing December 9th.
I choose to waive the conflict and keep the same attorney that I have now.
That is accused killer Adam Mattos in court, choosing to stick with his public defender. Mattos is charged with killing 4 people back in August. He faced a Pasco County judge a few hours ago. Our Ashley Yorl was in the courtroom. She joined us now live with more on what happened. And Ashley, this was a brief appearance in court today.
Dia, the whole thing probably lasted about 5 minutes. Basically, this was a hearing for Mattos to determine whether or not he wants to stick with the public defender for counsel. And as you just heard, he decided he was going to. Now, you're probably asking, why was this even a question? Well, the state has a witness list of about 250 people in Mattos' case. 7 of them have used the public defender at some point, so that can present a conflict. Now, Mattos had the option of going with what's called conflict-free counsel. Clearly, he opted not to do that. Back in August, Mattos was charged with murdering his ex-girlfriend, her parents, and her new boyfriend, leaving their bodies stacked in a field in Hudson, then kidnapping his 4-year-old son. Now, today, he was very calm. He spoke to the judge in an even tone. Now, his lawyers say that they've started on depositions and discovery, but they say that they have a lot to go through. The judge asked that things get on the schedule within a week or 2.
Good afternoon, Mr. Matos. My name is Pat Syracuse, and I am the circuit court judge now assigned to this case. And I see that it's case number 2014-5586, CFAWS. This is a 4-count murder in the first-degree capital felony indictment. And the indictment came to us from September 23rd of last year. Okay. This is your first pre-trial with me, so let me go over a couple of ground rules. If at any point you have any questions for me or concerns or issues that I can address, I want you to feel free to bring them up with me. That being said, it is best, of course, for you to speak to your attorneys first. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Henry's present with you, and you also have Mr. Livermore as well as Mr. Viscara present in the case, and they are your attorneys. Right now, we're going through the discovery process. I've not yet set a trial in this case, and I don't believe that Judge Webb set a trial in this case.
No, sir.
Okay. So this is the only thing we have on the calendar. I spoke to Judge Webb's judicial assistant just a few moments ago. She indicated to me that either by the end of this week or sometime next week, we might have the order that was pending on the media issue.
Yeah, we filed a motion to compel, and the Tampa Bay Times had an attorney come in and also filed something fighting our motion to compel. I don't think the defense attorneys were really a party to that.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't hear any portion of it, so Judge Webb said that he would write the order on it and file it prior to officially coming off the case. So I told him he needed some more time at that point. It's assigned to Division 4. You're here in Division 4, even though we're in courtroom 3A today because I'm finishing up trial downstairs. Looks like we've had a couple of pre-trials on this. The question becomes, how are we doing on discovery so far? Mr. Henry, where are we?
Judge, we have conducted a number of depositions in the case. I believe we're between 45 and 50 in terms of the number of deponents we have spoken with. There's still a substantial number to go. I believe the witness list is upwards of 350 witnesses, so we're continuing with discovery, and we're going to continue deposing people. In the second phase, we have a mitigation specialist who's working on some stuff, talking to a bunch of different folks. So I would suggest, Judge, one more pre-trial. Mr. Schrader was thinking possibly October, November. I don't know if the court's comfortable going out that far, or if you want to set something a little bit sooner to kind of keep track of the progress, but that would be fine with us.
I'm comfortable with doing one in October if, Mr. Schrader, I can have a commitment from you, sir. Have a commitment that you will go through all the discovery previously provided and make sure you get with the law enforcement agencies that are involved and make sure that everything has been disclosed at this point so that I can know that going forward we're not going to have that issue. Is that reasonable?
Yes, Judge, and I've been doing that ongoing, and I think we just sent some more stuff that we got from law enforcement agencies earlier this week. Nothing new and spectacular, but just new documents. We are still awaiting FDLE reports. I know some of their most recent analyses have been done, but the reports are not issued yet. As soon as we get those, we will make those ready to available to the defense.
Okay, great, thank you. Mr. Henry, how many depositions have been taken so far?
I think between 45 and 50.
Are you expecting that you're going to have to depose all of the listed witnesses or some of them not consequential enough to need deposition in advance?
Well, our goal is to depose everybody that's listed, unless we can talk with the state and they can come to an agreement that they're not going to call certain folks. But in a case like this, we're going to need to talk to everybody.
All right, let's ask the state, have you gone through your witness list and made sure that everybody that's on there is actually an A-list witness that could be called, or are some of these witnesses people that you're listing because they were in a police report, but right now under your current theory of the case, you have no intention of calling, can't imagine the scenario where that will happen?
Well, Judge, there's a lot of witnesses that I don't intend to call, and I can't imagine a scenario where I would call them developing. However, there are scenarios that could develop where I would need them, and for whatever reason, they may have relevant information. And I would not want to fail to disclose any witness that might have relevant information to the defense on the off chance that one day they turn out that they did have relevant information.
Okay, I appreciate that. Your current depot schedule, when are you expecting that I could reasonably have a conclusion of depositions and be set for trial?
This year. Dylan.
There's out of state witnesses.
Right. I think it's likely a year.
It's going to be next year.
Just probably sometime in early 2016.
Okay. All right. State, or their victims' representatives present on this one?
There are no.
Have you discussed with them the court's policy that they can make statements if they wish to do so, although it's not required or expected, they have the opportunity to do so if they wish?
I have not specifically discussed that with them today, but we have had multiple discussions about when the time and the appropriate place would be to do that. I don't believe any of them would like to make a statement for today.
Here's what we're going to do. At every stage, you'll be invited if you wish to make a statement. It's not necessary or expected, so I don't want you to feel there's any pressure to make said statement. However, I also want you to understand you have the opportunity if you choose to. We're going to have another pre-trial on this matter, and since this is my first pre-trial with Mr. Matos, I'm going to set it far enough out that we can accomplish a big chunk of the depositions between now and then. If, however, we're not accomplishing depositions, then I'll take a more active role and I'll start doing it on a monthly basis. October was thrown out. Is there any day of the week that's better for, actually, Mr. Vistera, you travel farthest to get here. Is there any day of the week that's better for you?
No, Judge.
No matter whether it's the afternoon or the morning?
No.
No? All right. Let's see what we have available in October. Looking at my October calendar, I would see the possibility for perhaps October 22nd, which is a Thursday at 4 o'clock.
That'd be good for me.
Anybody out of town, out of country?
I should be here, Judge.
All right. Let's then look at October 22nd at 4 o'clock. It's going to be in courtroom 2A unless otherwise changed by the order setting the pretrial, but otherwise it's going to be in courtroom 2A. Mr. Matos, at the end of every proceeding, of course, you're invited if you have a question or concern that I can address for you to bring it up to me. And if you have any questions about the process or how things are proceeding?
No, sir.
Okay. State, is there anything we can do to advance this case today?
Noted. I do have some questions. It's going to remain with you in Division 4?
It's going to remain with me in Division 4.
Okay. So any further evidentiary hearings or anything of that matter, motions will be filed in front of Your Honor?
Motions, evidentiary hearings, anything you need is going to be in front of me.
Now, I know that the defense had previously filed a motion to retain jurisdiction. I don't believe an order was ever issued on that. I think it is moot if it's going to be in front of you.
It's not really necessary. This was originally a Division 4 case. Judge Webb's going to retire before this case is going to get to be tried, so there's no reason for it to stay with him. I've taken over Division 4, so Mr. Livermore, do you see any reason that an order should be entered?
No.
Okay. It's fine.
Okay.
All right. Well, then if nobody has anything else, we'll be in recess on this one. I will see you at the next one on October 22nd, Mr. Mattos.
Thanks, sir.
The heartache for James and Linda Thomas still as fresh tonight as the moment they found out their daughter, son-in-law, and granddaughter were all murdered.
Yeah, tonight they're talking about it for the first time, and the man responsible, according to authorities, our Ashley Yore is here with the interview that you'll see only on ABC Action News. Ashley?
Well, I was there when Tampa police caught Adam Matos and rescued his 4-year-old son more than a week after the murders. The Thomases tell me when they didn't hear from their daughter for a few days, they knew something was wrong. It was their call that led to the discovery of the bodies, and now they want to know why more wasn't done to stop Matos. Months after unimaginable loss, the Thomases still have very real concerns.
Something went wrong. Something went wrong when a person can take a knife to his son's mother's throat at 7 o'clock in the morning, and no one is really looking seriously for him.
Margaret Brown's father and stepmother, Megan's grandparents, feel the 4 murders could have been prevented. Concerns that were raised to the sheriff not long after the murders.
As long as our deputies are doing what is right, I'm going to protect them and back them to the bitter end.
In a document the Thomases obtained from the sheriff's office, we see a statement from August 28th after Megan's first call for help. In what appears to be Megan's own handwriting, she writes, "Matos put a knife to my throat and said, 'I'll effing kill you. I'll effing kill you.'"
The responsibility for the murders definitely belongs to Adam Matos, but the prevention of those murders, the responsibility for that belongs with the Pasco County Sheriff's Department. We feel they dropped the ball.
The family still wants to know if the deputy who first went to the house on August 28th was the only person looking for Matos. According to this court document, 5 days later, the deputy says he has not located the suspect in this case, Adam Matos, and the victim has not contacted him to advise if Matos has returned. We spoke with the sheriff's office today, who says they feel they answered every question during their press conference. And they say because this case remains under investigation, there aren't any additional details they can provide.
We feel nothing was done until after the murders took place.
After the victims were found dead several days later, the deputy told a homicide detective he did not complete a probable cause pickup order because he wanted to speak with the suspect to get his side of the story. The Thomas family wants to know more.
When the incident first became apparent that they'd been murdered, what was the sheriff's department doing? We found out early on that there'd been the domestic violence call. Well, what happened? Well, we know now nothing happened.
That little boy is without his grandparents and mother because of their failure to do what they should have done.
The Thomases tell me now they make sure they're in court when Matos appears. Linda says she wants him to see her and hopes one day he'll actually look her in the eyes. We're continuing to dig into the details of this story, and of course, we're going to keep you updated. Brendan?
Thank you, Ashley. Heartbreaking situation. Here's how we got to this point in the case. Deputies were first called to Megan Brown's home August 28th. She told deputies at that point that Adam Mattos held a knife to her throat and threatened to kill her, as you heard. Then on September 4th, just about a week later, deputies found the bodies of Brown, her parents, and her boyfriend. Deputies found Mattos the next day with his 4-year-old son at a Tampa hotel. Just yesterday, a date was supposed to be set for Mattos' murder trial, but that was pushed back.
Following breaking news in the Adam Mattos case, Mattos is accused of killing his ex-girlfriend, her parents, and her new boyfriend back in September. Well, the pretrial hearing ended just as we went on the air at 9 o'clock. There, Mattos faced a judge in Newport Richey. Now, ultimately, the judge set the next pretrial date for 2 weeks from now. During the proceedings, attorneys talked about a potential timeline for when this case could go to trial. Mattos' attorneys told the judge that he doesn't think this case is going to be ready for trial anytime soon. He pointed to the difficulty of getting potential witnesses in to be deposed, because many of the family members are from Pennsylvania. Now, the judge said he had a hard time understanding why the evidence was taking so long to be processed. The judge said it's, quote, not acceptable that they are proceeding at a glacial pace.
Meanwhile, a quadruple murder case that stunned the Bay Area back in 2014 is taking a big step forward this morning.
Let's get to ABC Action News anchor Lauren St. Germain. She's live for us in Newport Richey to explain what is happening today in the Adam Mattos trial. Lauren, we said 2014 this happened. Any idea why it's taken so long for this case to go to trial?
Well, lawyers told us it would take so long because they had so many witnesses to interview, actually hundreds of witnesses. But this morning, that big step forward, that jury selection happens right in here. We expect the jury selection to take 2 days, then the trial to start, which should take close to 3 weeks.